Welcome back to The Daily Edge, where we ask entrepreneurs, executives, athletes, and high performers how they find their edge. Today's guest is Miami Dolphins legend, Kim Bokamper. He shares his experience playing for one of the best head coaches of all time and how that shaped his entrepreneurial journey from golf carts to restaurants. As always, I'm your host, Marc Nudelberg.
Let's find our edge.
Kim Bokamper, welcome to The Daily Edge.
Yeah, I've been, where you been, man? I've been around. Oh my gosh, I've known you, Pop. I've known Pop for a long time. You guys.
Know my dad for forever. To me,
you had to get to the bottom of the barrel before you dragged me in here.
No, not at all. I mean, to be fair, we got you in before Joe too. Thank you for joining the show.
It's my pleasure.
You are an idol in my eyes because I was a kid watching you play for the Dolphins, and you were a part of an era of football that no longer exists. And then you became a community staple with your restaurants and your nonprofit work and all you've done. So I'm so excited to have you here. And just so happens that today Mike McDaniel got fired. And this show won't air for a while after, but I want to talk a little bit about your experience of having played for one of the greatest head coaches in all of coaching in the history of football, being Coach Shula, and then having been close to the team to watch this McDaniel era, and just some of your perspective on where football is now and how this has all happened.
Well, so let me start with this. So next year will be my 50th year with this organization in one form or another.
Wow.
From being drafted here, and then we kind of helped to start to put an alumni thing together. And then I kind of got into the broadcast side of it. And so it's, coming on 50 years. So I've seen basically from start to finish, because when I got there, Coach Shula was like three years in.
Yeah.
And so, and now with Mike. And, but I'll say this, it's not just the people in the league that have changed, coaches, whatever. The whole league's changed.
Sure.
It's and some for the good, and some not for the good. I think the game was a lot tougher when I got in.
Not even close.
And I'll say this: it was a lot tougher before I got in the league.
Yeah.
So incrementally over the decades, it's gotten, for whatever reason, some reasons for TV exposure, and they want points on the board.
Sure.
Some for health and all those things.
Sure.
So it's been watered down a little bit along the way, but it's still I think it's still the greatest game out there.
When you played, it was not America's game yet.
No.
It was still baseball was the primary sport in the country.
Yeah.
And now I think it's not even close.
Yeah.
Football is America's game.
Yeah.
We do everything around football and what happens. I think it would be interesting if you could share with the audience a little bit. The guys who are in the league now are making, even if you're in for a couple of years, you're making money that can set you up generationally, which is a drastically different experience.
Let me put it this way.
Than when you were
I played in the league for 10 years.
Yeah.
A long snapper in the league now.
Yeah.
A long snapper.
Right.
Who plays maybe 6 plays.
Yeah.
And they can't even line anyone up over him.
He doesn't get hit. He's not allowed to get hit. Maybe he runs down and
makes more money in 1 year than I made my entire career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a long snapper. Right? Now, you could talk about the $52 million that Tua gets every year, whatever.
Sure, but
that number there kind of tells you a little bit about how it's. But again, the guy. So when I got drafted, I was drafted. I was the 19th player picked in the draft. Leroy Selman was the first player picked in that draft. So Leroy was a blockbuster contract at that time. He got a $100 million bonus. I mean, a $100,000 bonus.
Right.
And his contract was $50,000 for 3 years. Yeah. So he got $250.
Sure.
Was a blockbuster. So so my contract was I got a $63,000 bonus, $36,000 salary, and I came into the first time I came into the Dolphin locker room. They had just gone undefeated.
Wow.
Three years earlier,
right.
And won another Super Bowl 2 years earlier.
2 years prior,
playing
right.
the AFC Championship the time before. So I walk in there, and some guy goes, you know what? I can't believe they're giving you that much money. I said, I saw what they're paying. I can't believe it. Right. And I said, and I looked at them. I said, well, how much you? Now this is through the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So how much are you making? $18,000 a year.
Wow.
So the guys before. So it's
been happening.
Yes. So it's
generationally,
and then, you get. So then you get collective bargaining comes in. The union gets stronger.
Sure.
And now the union's very strong.
Yeah.
And they've got all kinds of benefits and everything, but and it goes same with the playing, same with the.
I got a question.
Same with the coaching, same with all that. It's all kind of.
Do you think that players in today's game would play for Coach Shula?
Absolutely,
they would.
Absolutely,
they would, and he would thrive. Coach Shula would thrive.
You don't know a difference,
right?
Right.
Yep.
You played for your Pop Warner coach. You thought he was the best coach in the world, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to high school. You go, that guy didn't know anything, right? So, and so it's the same way.
Yeah.
And the practices. So when we were there, we had 6 preseason games, and we would be in training camp for 9 weeks. And training camp for 9 weeks was training camp.
Yeah.
Pads every day, twice a day.
Twice a day. Real two-a-days.
Real
two-a-days.
And then we do 2 days a week. We do 3-a-days.
I did not know.
We would go out with after
shorts
dinner,
on,
shorts and do walkthroughs.
Yes, I remember. Right? Yep.
And everything was in full pads. And so now it's now they don't even go. So now they've got the league. The season's 18 weeks long. You can only practice in pads, including training camp, 14 times. No, not during camp, just during the regular season. 14 times
in an
18-week season. So you can't even practice in pads one time a week.
Yeah.
So, but we did it all the time, and so.
Do you think it's gone too far in that direction? Do you think they could have used some of that?
Look at the first months of the season.
Yeah.
Bad tackling.
Yep.
It's kind of chaotic.
Yep.
And then as the season goes on, finally when they get to like week 5 or 6, now you're starting to see because they can't tackle.
Yeah.
We would live tackle and do the whole thing. And I'm not saying that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But it gave you a different brand of football.
Yeah. So talk to me about how your transition from playing football to then the broadcast booth and your restaurants and your businesses.
Yeah.
How did football set you up for success in those things? Or was it a difficult transition? Talk to me about that.
Well, so I grew up in a military family. My father was career Navy. My brother was career Navy. My other brother was in the Air Force. So we lived on a military salary. I got my hair cut at the base, went to PX, we got our groceries at the base, all that stuff. And it was a very disciplined.
Sure. I almost took a job at Army, West Point. So I interviewed up there and spent time up there.
I would have loved to have gone to Annapolis or either West Point because that's just. So it's very. So I didn't have a lot of money to draw to. So I told you I had a $63,000 signing bonus. I called my dad, and I said, "Dad, what do I do with this money?" I don't know. He goes, "Don't ask me. I've never made more than $13,000 in a year."
Wow.
So I couldn't lean on him for anything. And most of the guys didn't.
Right.
Most of the guys were really had no knowledge of money.
Sure.
So I probably wasted a little money. I was a car guy, but I wasn't buying 2 or 3 cars.
Sure.
I maybe had 1 car, but I traded in 3 times the first year and got something else. So I started looking around, and my rookie year, we opened up our preseason game in the Superdome. I mean, in the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yep.
And then my next game was in the Orange Bowl. I ran down on the opening kickoff, blew my knee out, and missed the whole year.
Wow.
I had to get surgery and miss the whole year. And so at that point, I'm going, man, I don't think I'm even. I think my career may be over.
Sure.
Because it was. Back then, the medical, you had one doctor for everything. If it was your tonsils or your knee, he's taking care of you.
Right.
And so now I'm going, geez, I better do something with this money or whatever. And so I just started thinking about it a little more. It kind of changed my mind from a financial standpoint.
Sure.
I actually told my dad I'm going to buy a mobile home. He goes, why are you going to do that? I go, when they cut me, I can drive it around and live anywhere I want. But I started to think more about it, and I started to kind of, so my second contract, I started, investing a little bit, not anything.
Sure.
And then my last contract, so it was 4 years, $1.2 million for the whole contract.
Yeah.
And so I took, I deferred like $40,000 a year for 10 years after I retired.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to have room to be able to find
what the next thing would be.
Because I hadn't had a job. I hadn't had a real job. Football wasn't a real job.
Right.
It was a fantasy.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I had a gas station job, and I didn't want to do that. But so I set it up so I had enough cushion to where I could find. So I went in and Easy Go Golf Carts, a friend of mine, said, "Hey, there's an opportunity. There's a position open for an operations manager." And I said, "Well, what's an operations manager?" The guy goes, "I don't know." So I went in and I interviewed for him, and they gave me the job. And so I get the good job, and I forget what I was making. I was making 30. So in the interview process, when they got to say, "Well, I'm not sure you want to work for the money we have," the boss said. The manager, and he said, "How much money did you make last year?" I said, "I made $285,000 last year." He says, "I don't." He says, "We can't offer you that." And I said, "What can you offer me?" He says, $36,000. I said, "I'll take it."
Wow.
Because I needed to learn how to work. I need to learn how to get up at 8 o'clock or 7 in the morning, be in the office, put in 10, 12, 8 hours, however many, to learn how to work.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And so
you knew you needed that.
I knew I needed it.
And that comes from your military background.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm never late. I'm rarely late.
Right.
I have to make myself be late, to be honest with you, which is annoying to my wife. But so I was there for about 6 months, 8 months, and they moved me into a sales position.
Okay.
So I'm in the first year I was there. I was like I was the rookie of the year sales wise. Wow. I expanded more product.
Yeah.
And I maxed out, and I could only make $50,000.
Wow.
And I got a daughter.
Yeah.
And I got and my wife, and we got a house out in Lagomar. And I didn't want to lose.
Bills were high.
So I just started looking around, and I bought an interstate battery distributorship.
Oh, wow.
Never. I couldn't tell what a flashlight battery from a car battery at that point.
Sure.
But I bought the thing. I had bought the business, bought some accounts, and came with 2 trucks and 2 drivers, and that was what I bought.
Wow.
And I fired my 2 drivers after 2 days.
Because they were late?
Well, I found one sleeping under a tree at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so you're done.
Yeah.
And the other guy told me, when I'd say, "This is what we're going to do," he goes, No, that's not how we do it. I go, "Well, it's how we do it now." He goes, "No, we don't do it that way." So, well, I'll see you.
Yeah.
So I jumped in. I'm driving it's about a beer truck like size. Wow. And I jumped in it, and I'm like grinding the gears because I'd never driven anything but an automatic. And so I just went out and started pitching people.
Wow.
And learned how to sell. And I had it for about 4 years. And I went from probably 15,000 battery sales to 45,000 a year. And then Hurricane Andrew hit me. Because I was my territory was from Coral Gables to Key West. So that whole Homestead,
that entire area
Kendall,
got blown away.
That was the heart of my business. So I got it back together, got kind of back to even, sold it back to the company, and then I took a Series 7 license and sold municipal bonds. So I learned how to get in be in the financial world.
Yeah.
And then someone called me up and asked me if I wanted to do the pregame show for the Dolphins. They were at WIOD or whatever.
Yeah. I
did that, and from there, about a month later, I got a call from CBS Miami.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, can you come in after, they'll do a late show for the Sunday wrap-up." Said, "You come in and talk about the Dolphins." And then I went there, and they said, "Can you come back again next week?" And then they offered me a job after the end of the season, full-time doing I did the sports for like 20-something years.
Yeah.
So that's how it went. That's how it went.
So first of all, I didn't know any of that other stuff about the interstate batteries or municipal bonds. Yeah. That's wild. When did the restaurant business happen?
Well, the restaurant business happened. I was still doing TV.
Okay.
And so, we at one point we had 7 restaurants.
Right.
And we opened them. And there was only 4 of us in our business. We were our partners. Mm-hmm. And so I was in part of opening 7 restaurants while I was still doing full-time TV. Right. And no one even knew about it. So
why did you get into the restaurant business? Like the other ones, I kind of I bucked it. I had a friend of mine
There's another hurricane situation. When Wilma came through,
sure,
he had a restaurant in Plantation, and the electricity was out for 3 years. He lost all his product.
Yeah.
And didn't have the money to rebuild.
Yeah.
I mean, not to rebuild, but just to get product. So we talked, and I just said, no, I've heard too many horror stories about the restaurant business. I'm not going to do it. And he kept after me. So we finally sat down, and I made a deal that was comfortable to me.
Sure.
And really, if it would have gone bad, it wouldn't have affected me.
Right.
So I had a little safety net there. But as soon as we opened the doors, it just, we were kind of the first. I would say Bob Brzezinski was first. He had a place up in Coral.
Yep, Coral Springs. Yeah.
And we had gone up there, and we put all the big TV. I go, wow, this is. So we did that like on a bigger scale.
Right.
So we opened the doors. It was a Friday. We were sitting there having lunch, and we go, why don't we open up at 4:00 this afternoon, right? And we still had people doing, finishing up and stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything to anybody. Turned the light on our sign, opened the door, and there was a line about, I don't even know where they came from.
Wow.
And we just blew the socks out of it because there was nothing like that there of that magnitude.
Sure. I mean, the sports bars at that time.
And it was like, so the one thing I told her, I said, if you're going to do a sports bar, I'm not going to do it if you're just going to hang 3 TVs on the wall behind the bar and call yourself a sports bar.
Right.
Let's do
if you're going to do it, that's and so that you at one point you had 7, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And I know one closed this year, the one that was on Pine Island.
We had 2 on the West Coast.
Yeah.
We had one in Naples, one in Estero. And the one in Naples we sold just a couple of years ago that someone came in and gave us a number that we just couldn't refuse. One was in a mall in Estero, and when COVID came, we were able to get out of that.
Gotcha.
So 2. And then we opened the one in Miramar.
Yep.
Big one in Miramar. Then we opened one in Oakland Park.
Yep.
And
there's one right here, literally right outside the studio.
So the one in Miramar, it just didn't come back after COVID.
Interesting.
But we own our properties.
Yeah. You own the
then we
real
have one on
estate.
the beach, but we don't own our property. That's a lease from the city.
Yeah.
So we're kind of a real estate.
Okay.
Let the restaurants pay the bills and.
So it doesn't really sadden you when you see one of your restaurants close.
It's kind of a thing where you're doing a lot, but now we're going, well, let's do it. So this one's siphoning money off of this one.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of this one.
Yep.
So now we feel very comfortable that we have 2. We have our beach restaurant.
Yep, Bo's on the Beach, which is on A1A.
Yeah.
You've got this one, Bokamper's on Oakland Park, which is on the Intercoastal. Catch and Cut.
And our original restaurant on Plantation, we closed it. However, we're going to build something back into that.
Gotcha.
And so we're peeling down to our most profitable.
It's a good segue too, because now you've also started the Legacy Luncheon.
Right.
And so talk to me about why you created this luncheon. And
I don't know why. I had 2 days I didn't have anything to do.
I have a question for you because you have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Like you have this entrepreneur in you. Right. Like most people are exposed to that
I
through
grew
their...
up with my closest friend, who's still my closest friend.
Okay.
We grew up together in a little small town, and we were always, when we started, we were picking up Coke bottles. You could give money. You get 2 cents back for a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
We'd collect Coke bottles or paper routes. And we were always just doing, because our parents didn't have any money to give.
Sure.
Not like we were destitute or anything.
Right.
We weren't, but.
you had something to do and you were able to make money off of it.
So if you were a kid at the ballpark, we'd go, you go play baseball during the summertime.
Yeah.
And if you could tell who had money. If you're buying the Coke bottles that get 2 cents back, you're doing okay. If you're the guy's got the bottle, you get 5 cents back. That guy was the dude, man. That guy was the rich guy,
right? Yeah.
But so we always just did it, and he and I always, talked about business. And he ended up staying in Silicon Valley because I grew up right around Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And he became big HR and all, Apple, worked at a bunch of these places.
Yeah.
And I kind of went this route of piecemealing it and just whatever came my way that I thought was something I could do. But I always felt like I put myself in a situation where I can't fail.
Yeah.
Not where I can't fail, where I can't fail.
Right.
Because if I fail with this, my family's going to go hungry.
Right.
So I've got to make it work.
Yeah.
It's no cut and dry. If you don't make this work, we're in a bad spot.
Right.
And so I think that guillotine hanging over my neck is my motivation. So now getting to the
legacy.
So we had done a Jim Mandich, great Mad Dog
Touchdown Club.
Yeah, did the Touchdown Club.
I remember being a kid and going to those.
So we were sitting at Catch and Cut, and we're talking about doing a lunch. Mm-hmm. And we're going, no, I don't know if we don't lunch. I don't know if it's going to work here, lunch or not. And so I said, well, you know what? I did the Touchdown Club. Mm-hmm. I said, if we want to get some people in for lunch, let me put together a speaker series, mm-hmm. put it in, make it high end because it's a high end restaurant.
Yep.
And it'll do two things. People will know we do lunch.
Yep.
And they'll be able to come in and go, oh man, this is a pretty nice restaurant. Let me come back and let me bring my wife back for dinner.
Yep.
Or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of a little twofold.
Yeah.
And so we're getting ready to kick it off. I think it's January 29th, I think, is our first one. But it's a very high end, and we got.
It's hosted at Catch and Cut, your restaurant.
It's hosted at Catch and Cut
on Las Olas.
It's on we're going to do Thursday for 10 weeks.
Yep.
And see if that works, and if we'll extend it, if not. And so it's basically a business to business networking opportunity. Mm-hmm. We're selling tables of 4. Mm-hmm. And you buy a table, and you're a member. It's your table for the whole 10. You
got 4 seats at that table. You can have a guest and bring somebody.
If you're a client-based guy, mm-hmm. I tell them, I said, that gives you 30 opportunities to sit down with clients face-to-face and sit and listen to Dan Marino speak, Lawrence Taylor speak, mm-hmm. Jerry Bailey speak, all these different all these different people that are coming in.
Yep.
And it's basically an invitation only.
And so I know one way for people to get a table or get involved is to reach out to us. Sure, but if they're listening to this and they don't know us or they're unsure, what are some other ways that they can get involved with the Legacy Luncheon if they're looking to?
That's it. Because like I said, it's we're only going to have 20 tables.
Yeah.
And right now I think we're about 15 tables.
Gotcha.
And of those 15 people, I've spoken to them personally, face to face.
Yeah.
And told them what it's about, and told them I want you to understand what it is. I want you to know this, and I haven't been turned down once.
That's awesome.
But I think it's going to be a good. So you know how those programs work.
Absolutely.
So you'll have some mingle time. Mm-hmm. You'll have lunch, and we have a high-end lunch, certainly.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue with going down to Catch and Cut on Las Olas on a Thursday or a Friday afternoon and getting to spend time learning from somebody who's been there and done it and networking with the business community that you want to be a part of. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer.
People. And we're not just doing athletes.
Right.
I'm looking for, I've got some authors I'm talking to. Mm-hmm. Got some other, like Jeff Darlington. I'm sure we're going to get him to be, someone and who's been on a lot of big stories. So. I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if we're going to make any money. I'm not sure that we want to make money. But more, again, the basic theme was let's get some people in here on lunchtime.
Yep.
And we're trying to cultivate that Las Olas area because we're there, and then see when they come back.
All right, my last question for you, which this will air after it happens, so you'll either be right or wrong. Who wins tonight? Do the Canes beat Ole Miss?
Canes win tonight.
Canes win tonight? Or do you like the Canes to win the national championship?
Well, I tell you, Indiana's a tough proposition. That's a tough proposition. I've been a fan of that guy. So during the preseason for the last couple of years, Steve Goldstein and I have done the TV for FIU in the games before I go to work for the Dolphins. And so 2 years ago, FIU played Indiana in the first game. On the road, so we weren't brought. But I wanted to watch FIU to kind of get familiar, because I didn't know any of the players. So I just watched. So I'm watching, and I couldn't take my eye off the coach, and because that's during the game they talked about some of his. They showed his initial press conference, and he gets a question: Why'd they hire you? He goes, "Google me." Because I win. Google me, right?
That's right.
And then you can't cuss on this.
Anything you want. Anything you want goes.
So they showed another clip, and so he goes to an Indiana basketball game.
Yeah.
Basketball school from forever. Mm-hmm. And he's talking this, and he's going, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And the last thing he says is, "And fuck Purdue."
Yeah.
And the roof blew off the house, you know?
Yeah.
So I got interested in him.
Yeah.
And look what he's done.
It's unbelievable.
Incredible.
I mean, and the way he credits learning from Coach Saban at Alabama, and the way he's been able to morph with the portal and NIL and all of that.
Let's go back to coaching and Coach Shula and Mike McDaniel, who just got let go. Detail-oriented, tough coach. You know, I saw a game where they were up by 20, and some guy, you know, had a penalty, and he ripped him a new one. You know, so it's all that. Instead of guy coming over and going, "Oh, Don, I know you won't do it next time."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which obviously did not work.
But he's in that. Look, he coached with Nick Saban for 4 years, and he's got, you know, the Coach Shula is probably the closest guy I could say to, because he was he didn't care.
Well, and so all right, so then the real last thing I think is it's pretty cool to see Chris Shula starting to have his name tossed around, and who knows, he may end up being an NFL head coach here in the near future.
So you know what was funny about that?
Chris played the weight class above me in Cooper City Optimist, so I always watched him play before I played.
So Dave Shula's the first one. So Dave comes out of Dartmouth, wants to be an attorney, and Coach Shula talked him into coming for 1 year to help him with the team. And then he became, and I think this is where Coach Shula made a mistake, is because he had all his guys from Baltimore, the coaches. It was a small, we only had like 6 or 7 coaches.
It was a different world back then.
And so he gave him like a title that leapfrogged all those other guys. So that didn't set very well. And then he went to Dallas, and then to Cincinnati, and so he kind of got the busman's tour. And then Mike when did Alabama, and got you know, was okay. But he wasn't Bear Bryant.
Nope.
And then you had Nick Saban hanging there. So and then he's done a good job. He was in Carolina. So he's done a good job. Chris has gone unnoticed through everything. He doesn't, you know. So
when I was a GA at Florida State, he was a GA at Miami of Ohio, and we would meet each other at the coaching convention, and so it was cool to be on that track at the same time. No.
Because he went from the, you know, bringing coffee.
He worked his way up.
Bringing coffee, much like Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel started bringing coffee to the coaches, and did his work like Eric Spoelstra, same thing.
That's exactly right. It's the way I did it. I started as an equipment manager. I literally was doing it for free when I wasn't an equipment manager.
For the Los Angeles Rams. And he's very highly respected. And I think at some point he's going to, and look, you know, if it was to be, and the Dolphins would hire him, oh my God.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
It would be crazy.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining the show with us. Thank you for the wonderful lessons. One last question, which is, actually, this is the way we're going to go out. If you'll look into that camera and say, "Let's find our edge," that's the way we'll close it.
Let's find our edge.
Let's go.